know and be at as when you get certified. And that's basically passing the certification exam. So for example, if you're going to be art generalist, and it's because it's the first one, you would pick that one, open it up. And if you haven't done so already, for those of you who are getting ready to start taking some of the exams, you really need to download these documents and memorize them. No, not really memorize them, but get to know them well, okay? They all start off with the domains, which are the standards right here, standard 1, 2, 3, 4, in this particular case for the art generalist, EC6. And then if you go down, these are the competencies that are expected of all teachers, right? For those of you, well, some of you have already taken the exams. Can you give me a little, can you talk to them a little bit about what they should do to prepare for taking the exam itself?
Are you talking about
the content, both.
Well, in my case, the way that I prepared, I went to the workshops one, and then I downloaded this, a really good website. Is a certified teacher, and it gives you like a little question so you can practice and exams. And then I bought this book at the Barnes & Noble or Amazon, depending on your area of certification, and you just review it. And the thing that I really recommend is that you have time to study. I prepare for each one of my exams in 1 month. So I really recommend, don't just read this weekend and I'll just take it on Mondays. I really recommend, because it's a 5-hour exam, how many questions? 175. Depending on the questions, but I really recommend to prepare and don't.
Do you get breaks during the exam?
Yeah, but your time doesn't stop.
Your time?
But okay, what I recommend also is, what I did was you go and buy a book at Barnes & Noble, and at the end of the books, there's practice exams. When you get a big book and you see it's like this, you're like, I don't want to read all of that. How am I going to? So what I did is I would take the practice exams and then study the competencies that I struggled with most. Because if you just try reading the book, you're not going to retain any of the information. So do a lot of practice exams, Google practice exams, flashcards, do a lot of that. And in the questions, even though they tell you they're not there to get you, they really are. You have to read the question very carefully to see what they're asking. And then I would say with the PPR, don't freak out because it's a lot of common sense. But I would say practice exams and then study the competencies that you struggle with the most. Don't try reading the whole book straight through.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And so these are the competencies that you're talking about. So it's important to get to know this document as well, because it starts giving you a framework on, basically the test is going to be, is based on this framework here. So for those of you getting ready to prepare for the exams, this is very important for you to have. So you would go, like the PPR, there's some general ones. You have to scroll down. It has all of them here. But for example, all level certificate standards. Where is it? Here it is. It's all the way at the bottom. Standards for all teachers, which is the pedagogy and professional responsibility. And so this is the one I would recommend that you all download. Part of why I'm showing you this is because there's also a connection with the TEKS, which are, what are the TEKS? Do you all know what the TEKS are? Good, okay. Basically the TEKS are the curriculum that has been identified through the state, whoever the powers may be, to say that this is the curriculum that we expect our students to learn. And it's important that you all get to know what the curriculum is that for whatever area you're wishing to get certified in, because there's also a connection between the TEKS and the educator standards. And we're going to use the TEKS a little bit today for the activity that I'm going to have you all work on. And when you really look at the standards themselves, you're going to find that there's a lot of there's a connection with what we've talked about today, which is a cultural responsiveness to the students that you're going to work with. So this is not something that I'm pulling out of my hat just because I believe it's something that feels good. It's, if you look at the standards themselves, it's part of what Texas expects you to do as a good teacher.
Are these going to be like on the content exam or?
Okay, so you would download the PPR because everybody has to take the PPR. Okay? Yeah, so this is the one you want to, all of you. And the content, just scroll down and find the area that you're looking for certification in. Okay, so let's say you're doing the art, you would have to do the art, whether it's all levels or the EC6. The math for high school has a specific content to it. So you just find the one that you need. So everybody gets a PPR plus the content. And is there any, and like if you did the generalist also, right? So it depends on the test that you want to take, you want to get these.
The PPR is the same for all?
Yes, yeah. This is for EC through 12. Yeah. So this one, just get it, memorize it. No, the more you know about it, the easier it is. Well, what I've heard is that when you understand a little bit about the domains and the competencies, when you get to questions on the test, you can start making those, oh, this must be in this domain. And I haven't heard when it's going to happen, but up to now, as long as you get an average passing score, you pass the exam. At some point, it's going to change that you have to pass every single domain.
80%.
Yeah, and each domain. So you might get 3 out of 4, and if you don't get that other one, then you have to take the test over again. So I think the whole test again.
And when is that going to be changed?
And I try to get that answer, and I'm not sure. But I think until at least these next few administrations, they said we still might be grandfathered into the,
Is that PPR or content?
I think it's going to be for all tests coming up.
How I pass this exam is that I really memorize the domain. I really do. If you memorize it, you know where the question comes from and you know the answer at once. In fact, you look at it, you already get the answer. That is the key to it.
Okay.
Somebody called me because he has sat for that exam 5 times. He got so frustrated.
Uh-huh.
So he said, okay, let's memorize it. So I memorized it. I got through it the first time. I only get 5 questions wrong.
On your content or?
The content, I got 100%. Yeah, I got 5 questions wrong.
Well, because that's the math part of it. Well, and one of the things that, for example, on the special ed one, that people were always like, oh, the math on the special ed part is so hard.
Actually, they changed it.
Oh, they did? So,
Because when I took it on 2013, and in that time they didn't give us like any calculator, so it was just like basic math. And then when I took this year the generalist, and there was another girl taking the special education, they gave her a calculator. So maybe
It was harder.
It was harder. I don't know if it depends, but
But-
the exams are different. So for me, I didn't have any like real math. It's just how would you apply it?
there you go.
And another girl had actual calculations, so it just luck, I guess.
Yeah.
And be careful with this PPR. They ask something about the STAR test preparation. What you cannot do. The question is asked what you cannot do.
What can you not do for STAR preparation? What's the answer?
But when you administer that, you have to be certified. First of all, that is one question. That is one of it.
Okay.
Secondly, is that you have to read they have a booklet that you need to read, certain instructions that you need to read to the students.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because I've been to the library 2 or 3 times, checked out the materials, I've done certified teacher,
Uh-huh.
and I've not seen that at all.
Well, because they're not going to give you that little,
On your practice exam or what?
No, for my PPR.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll tell you,
I was
one
very
answer.
surprised, because when I read the books for the PPR, nothing of that come out. But because I did the revision with the students, and then and sit with them, okay?
And I mean, it's a common sense also kind of thing, you know, you don't,
The
with,
exam is very practical.
right,
We give you a scenario and then ask you, what should you do?
Okay.
And then most of them are correct. You know, some of them is partly correct, some of them is partly
Right.
wrong, and one question is totally wrong.
Right.
So, fine.
I know this workshop's not all about this part, but I think it's still important because there is a connection because what we do in practice and what is expected out of us to do. What happens in the real world doesn't always mean it's what's best practices, right? So what's important to think about is that anytime you're attempting the tests and you're looking at the standards and the competencies and so on, that's an ideal world situation. This is what we would hope that is really happening, and it's what should happen because it's good for kids. Okay, so when you're getting ready for the test, use practical sense, but use practical sense based on what the research is telling you is the best way to work with children. Okay, so that's the ideal world testing situation, and it's what we should be doing in practice, which we hope to achieve, right? Okay.